You see, I was about to make a huge mistake with this video. I was about to let go of one of the things I love most about photography: curiosity. The same curiosity that allowed me to find the ultimate conversion lens, one that could transform my Leica Q from a 28 to a 40mm. Today I want to tell you about the journey that led me to the final solution. Watch the video until the end. It's not sponsored, and at the end I have a huge surprise for you. It all started with the purchase of my Leica Q right before I went to Brazil. Even though I'd fallen in love with its beauty and its 28mm lens, I couldn't help but wonder what it would be like if I could use it with other focal lengths. If you've been following me for a while and you've seen my photos on Instagram, you've probably noticed that I absolutely love wide-angle lenses. The truth is, I use a lot of different focal lengths for my work and for my personal photography, from 9mm to 85mm, and I think each one tells the story of the scene in its own way. So I started to wonder how cool would it be to have a 20mm on this Q, or maybe a 40mm. I wondered if there was a way. So I started searching online to see if anyone had tried it before, and well, I couldn't find anything on the subject. That's when I remembered my Fujifilm X100F, which by the way, I had just sold. I used to use it with a conversion lens, specially made by Fujifilm to turn its 35mm into a 28mm. And from that moment on, I began my search for conversion lenses of every type that has ever existed. But first, we need to be clear, what exactly is a conversion lens? A conversion lens is an optical element that you screw onto the front of your main lens. It's not like cropping, but it doesn't perfectly replicate a focal length change either. It basically physically alters the path of light in front of the lens to emulate a new focal length, but with its own unique characteristics and limitations. They were created to allow cameras and movie cameras with fixed lenses to expand their focal lengths so you wouldn't have to change your entire system. Exactly what we're looking for. But the first problem is that these conversion lenses are now discontinued. The ones that are in production now, if I'm not mistaken, are the ones for the Fujifilm X100 series and the ones for the Ricoh GR3, GR2 and so on. I think all the other conversion lenses are basically vintage now, so they're no longer in production for these cameras. So they're very hard to find. On top of that, there's not even any comprehensive documentation online about this type of lens. Even the people selling them don't know what they're selling. The third problem is that these lenses were designed for sensors that were obviously not full frame. In fact, not even for sensors. For film rolls, film stock. So there was a very high probability of vignetting, a loss of quality and more. Fourth, the filter size, the mount size, the threading and the actual size of the lens. So I might actually find something that solved the problem, but in practice it could be really impractical to use. So I had two theories. The first was that there had to be at least one or two conversion lenses that would let me expand the 28mm in both directions, giving me a telephoto on one side and a wide angle on the other. My second theory, on the other hand, was that it would be much easier to adapt a narrower focal length, like the 43mm of the Q3, instead of the 28mm of the Q. That's because the 43mm angle of view is narrower than the 28mm, which makes it much easier to avoid vignetting. After about 2 months of research and making various purchases, I was still at sea, but I was starting to find some lenses that might be useful for my experiment. But to prove these lenses could be useful, testing them at home wasn't enough. I had to actually test them out in the field. I took advantage of this shoot with Beatrice to put the Leica Q to the test, with the following question: is it possible, thanks to these lenses, to vary the look of the shoot and give it more character? Would it also be possible to swap them quickly during a shoot? Would the quality be good enough? The lenses I chose for this shoot were the most promising ones I had found up to that point. A wide angle that promised about a 0.43 times magnification, though I'm not sure if that's accurate. And another vintage Xenon lens that promised about a 1.5 times magnification, and it gave me a pretty interesting look, both because of its distortions and its chromatic aberrations. By the way, I want to thank Brian Durante for the fantastic last-minute assistance and Ken for the B-roll, which I really appreciate. And now here are the results. More than 3 months had passed, and I started to take stock of what I had found so far. Online I kept finding the same lenses and there didn't seem to be anything new. I separated the lenses into wide and telephoto and I started doing the final tests, which you're about to see. While the wide-angle lenses gave me such a vignetted result that it looked like I had a fisheye, the telephoto lenses ate up a large part of the sensor with an invasive vignetting that would have required a crop. It was then that I thought I had found a couple of definitive lenses. For the wide part I had identified the Chinon 0.8 times, which brought the focal length to about 20 millimeters. While for the telephoto part, the Sun-Telenet Mini 35, which should have a multiplication factor of about 1.5 times, bringing my focal length to about 40 millimeters with minimal vignetting. The Chinon, however, was in terrible shape because someone had the brilliant idea of opening it up and using some product to create a bloom effect, which had basically turned it into a piece of crap. In the end, I was never able to clean it completely, but just enough to make it usable. Convinced that I had concluded my research in this way, I was ready to shoot the video again, but I wasn't fully satisfied. If only there were a conversion lens like the Mini 35, but bigger. And that's exactly how I found the ultimate conversion lens for the Leica Q 28mm, the Sun-Telenet EE. It was designed for the old Canonet EE, with a multiplication factor of about 1.5 times, which brought me to 43mm. It's larger, but still very portable, with a 55mm thread that's great for adapting. It really felt like a dream. So to test it, I decided to contact my model friend Silvia, who was in Milan at the time, so we could test both lenses, the Sun-Telenet EE and the Chinon 0.8 times. As you can see, thanks to its construction, the Sun-Telenet EE manages to cover almost the entire 28mm, but with a few small caveats. Against direct light, it creates these effects outside the frame that, in my opinion, are very beautiful, but many people might not like them. And on top of that, it obviously changes the minimum focusing distance by about 20 centimeters, which you can reduce with macro mode, but not by much. All in all, the result amazed me more than I could have imagined. Let me know in the comments if you like it too. Alright guys, I'm here at the Pinacoteca di Brera and I was testing the conversion lenses I told you about. I did a few tests. Almost none of them vignette on the 43, while on the 28 they all vignette a little, as you might have seen during the video. And now I want to walk around and try the two that I think are the best, so the two Sun lenses, the Mini 35 and the EE. The Leica 43 is a beautiful camera anyway. It's just that I'm not at all used to the controls, the dials, the buttons and so on, but it's really cool. Thanks to Photo Ottica Cavour, I was able to try the Q3 43, adapting some lenses I chose specifically since I couldn't carry them all around. As I predicted, on the Q3 43 it was much easier to get a decent result, expanding its focal range with less quality loss compared to the 28. This video is not sponsored by anyone, but I feel I have to thank them because unlike others, they welcomed this test with a lot of curiosity and not with defeatism. I'm sure that during this video, someone, instead of watching the video, went on eBay or some other marketplace right away to look for this lens and found nothing. That's because in these past few months, I've not only been recording the video, but also gathering all the lenses I could find in marketplaces all over the world, the ones I managed to find, and having them delivered here to my home. So we get them from all over the world, from the United States, Japan, and so on. I did this to allow anyone who wants to buy it, try it, or is actually interested in upgrading their Leica Q, especially here in Italy and who follows me, may have a priority. So the shipping directly here from Italy, the fact that someone has already purchased them, therefore has already received them, and therefore there are no problems. All lenses will be put up for sale on Vinted as they are used material. I calculated the price with a small margin, obviously to pay it off in a moment. The investments I had to make the whole video to collect the lenses, and what's more, along with the lenses there will also be adapter rings. So you don't have to look for the thread, the ring, get Amazon, get two, but you only need one and so you can have it directly. And all together in one package. Today is Thursday, the day the video comes out. I'm finishing recording the last few things tonight and the lenses will be posted on Vinted on Saturday. Obviously a couple of you have already contacted me. And they booked it, by the way. Quotation marks. So they've been supporting me and following this story for a long time. And so everything is already booked for them, but the others will be placed there on Saturday morning. So anyone who wants to buy them, wants to have these lenses, and wants to transform their Leica from 2840 mm low, can do as far as Canon 08 is concerned. I didn't find any, so good luck everyone. By the way, I will also put all the other lenses because they had a Q343 and wanted to try the lenses that I tried in the video and adapted on the Q343. Do they work as you have? Seen much better than on the 28mm only. And last thing I loved, making this video was truly an exhausting and very difficult journey of searching for lenses. How can I prove it to anyone who could act as my guinea pig and take some nice photos, even if they weren't random photos, just for the sake of it? But they should be explanatory of the quality that can be achieved with these adapters. And it's been a truly remarkable and crazy journey, so thank you so much for your continued support, whether you choose to buy or not. It really doesn't matter, because the important thing is that, like me, you've gotten something meaningful out of this burst of curiosity, ingenuity, and research. This is what I actually like about photography in all its forms, both in terms of the equipment, but also in terms of the sets, the shooting, and the idea, the concepts. The fact that with ingenuity you can actually do everything, or almost everything. Of course, subscribe to the channel. If you like, I would do it. It's a real pleasure because it's truly the best way to support the channel. I wish I had made this video in English so it would go everywhere, but I'm happy with it. But for now, let's see if the subtitles do their part. I'll see you next time.